It's time to take a look at stories making headlines in Nigerian newspapers. And with me in the studio is public affairs analyst Razak Olukoba. Razak, good morning.
Mike, good morning.
Nice to see you.
Thank you. Good morning, viewers at home.
Great. And we also have a media consultant and journalist Ifekayode Akimbode joining us on Skype from Abeokuta. Ifekayode, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. Good
Great.
morning, Comrade Razak Olukoba.
Nice to see you.
Good morning.
Okay, let's begin with Business Day this morning. Business Day says financial repression series, how risk of Nigeria's artificially low interest rates exceeds policy gain. How risk of Nigeria's artificially low interest rates exceeds policy gain. Okay, that's Business Day. Daily Times is next now. More hardships for Nigerian traders in Ghana despite truce. More hardships for Nigerian traders in Ghana despite the truce. All right, I guess we'll talk about this considering that the Ghanaian president was in Abuja to see the Nigerian president a few days ago. All right, let's go to Leadership newspaper. Nigeria's metering initiative suffers major setback, and components held at the ports. We're running out of stock meter assemblers. And federal government begins decongestion of Lagos port, divert cargoes to Onitsha. All right, those are all stories on the front page of the Leadership newspaper. News Direct is next, and it says COVID-19, federal government disburses 32 billion naira to 32 states. Federal government disburses 32 billion naira to 32 states. Nigeria not testing adequately, and the NCDC is saying this. And 10% of patients fall below age 19. Health Minister is revealing this. Okay, let's go to Blueprint newspaper now. A Blueprint is taking us, Emir of Zauzau. Succession race begins as Kaduna declares 3-day mourning. It was a sad event when the news broke of the passing on of the late Emir of Zauzau to the ancestors. All right, from the Blueprint, let's go to national economy. National economy says Nigerian Airlines repositioned for market opportunities as federal government moves to halt 1 trillion naira annual capital flight in aviation sector. Okay, that's national economy. Daily Trust is the last one we're seeing. States reopen schools, federal government urges vigilance, says another lockdown possible. Federal government urges vigilance, says another lockdown possible as states reopen schools. All right, hospitals, there's some other riders there on that headline. All right, from then gentlemen, let's take a look at the story on the front page of Daily Times, which brings us to the issue we've been talking about, the Nigerians in Ghana that have been crying out. Recall that the Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, was in Ghana for the ECOWAS Extraordinary Summit, and he met with Nigerians at the sidelines. And part of what the assurance he was giving was that the Ghanaian president had called the Nigerian president, and there was going to be, some expedited action to resolve the issue. But as at that time, he was still surprised that things have not changed.
The diplomatic role, at times, Nigeria must learn the rope. When you say diplomacy, it's not when you take slap and turn the other cheek to the person that slapped you. Diplomacy is when you are slapped, you take appropriate, not only by slapping the person back, but by meting out appropriate punishment for the person. You see, it's been going on for a long time that Nigeria has been disrespected all over the world, and we seem to do nothing about it. As small as Israel is, if you do anything against their country, they will take action against you. Israel is just the population, it's not up to Lagos in population, even in size. Lagos is 20 billion, Israel is not up to 10 million. If you see our citizens doing this kind of, going through this kind of trauma, we must respond adequately. Ghana must be giving appropriate punishment.
But if you're recommending, Razak, if you're recommending that Nigeria should respond in such a measure, yes, wouldn't that escalate the issues?
No, it can't escalate anything. Look at it from this point of view. When Buhari was the former head of state, the British government, over the Imoru Diko Rao, The British government seized our our aeroplane. We seized 5 of their own too. There's that dignity and honor. Our plane, they release their own too. So if this kind of thing is continues in this manner, nobody will take the nation serious again. I'm not saying that we should suspend traders who are Ghanaians in Nigeria. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying that at a point when our government read the Riot Act, that we will go to a point where we may see violence with Ghana. I'm not saying they should punish the punishment, the citizens. The citizens are not at fault. But the government of Ghana must be held responsible for those policies that traumatizes Nigeria. They should be held responsible. It is the government of Ghana, it's the government of Ghana that our government should penalize, not the people. And the best way to penalize them is to read out the Riot Act to them. For instance, in the South African government, I do not know the details, but I know that some measures were taken, and the South African government had to quickly take their step back. So that pattern, we must be ready at all times to give appropriate response to issues like this. Otherwise, it will continue.
All right, Razak.
Look at Kutonu here.
It's okay. I will come back to you on this. Let me bring Ife Kayode in here. Ife Kayode, the point there is, this issue has been going on for some time. Government of Nigeria has assured Nigerians in Ghana and even back home that everything will be fine. But if you listen to Ghanaians who are on the streets with their shops, some of their shops still closed and locked, under lock and key, it tells you that the situation has not come to an end yet. The Ghanaian president was in Nigeria just a few days ago over the weekend, and a lot of people are saying that could have been part of what they discussed, besides the election coming up in later in the year, which certainly Ghana would need Nigerian support in various ways.
Well, thank you, Mike. In diplomatic relations, every nation that is sovereign must exercise some level of firmness. Whatever you see in Ghana is as a result of competent leadership and firm control of affairs of governance in Ghana. Nigeria is not Ghana. Ghana's major reason for such decision is to protect the interests of their citizens. And Nigeria as a nation has not demonstrated competent leadership in that regard. Look, just like Razak said, if Nigeria is serious and desirous of Ghana to make a change in their policy, Nigeria must also respond in adequate measure. What are we seeing? The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Gbajabiamila Amina, has gone to Ghana. Ghanaian president has come to Nigeria. The vice president has gone to Ghana. What have we seen? No concrete position by Nigerian government in this regard. Nigeria has not taken any diplomatic position in this regard. I understand that in diplomacy, you explore all peace resolution to make it work. But if they are not changing, you have to protect your citizens, because Nigerians in Ghana are doing legitimate business. And what they are going to do is that the Ghana president also knows that he has to protect the interests of the citizens, before the election. Because if he takes any action anti the position of Ghanaian citizens, he's going to lose that election. That election will be a clearly contested election. And so the position for the Nigerian government is to take firm position. If Ghana is not ready, to back down on those policies of $1 million, as it were, Nigeria should also respond in adequate measure. No nation has monopoly of diplomatic relations. Nigeria is not a small country. No matter what we are going through, we are a country that should be respected by every other nation, not only in Africa, but the entire world. Yeah,
but if I have to stay with you from that perspective, the point there is Ghana is a sovereign country, and they have to make laws that will govern their own economy and their own people the way they want. Irrespective of what the ECOWAS protocol says, they have to be able to find Ghana is Ghana first before they are a member of ECOWAS. So when it comes to foreigners, do you think that because Nigerian traders are there, so they should, bend the rules or give some privileges to Nigerians who are there? Because we're talking about documentation of every non-Ghanaian person who wants to operate some certain kind of businesses.
You recall that I was in the studio, your studio some 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
And we discussed this issue extensively. Look, it is not because the Nigerians doing business in Ghana have not met the conditions, but rather the Ghanaian government wants to change because they feel that Nigerians are the middle-level traders. Nigerians are very enterprising. Nigerians are very industrious. Nigerians have taken over. And they think that the best way they can do is to technically, through laws, chase out the Nigerian people who are taking over, the retail business in Ghana. It's not because that they have not met the appropriate documentation in Ghana. Look at what the Nigerian traders are saying. You are saying that they must bring goods or do business worth $1 million. And they said, look, they have done it. They also say that the goods that they are making should not be goods made outside of the ECOWAS sub-region. Of course, that's what the treaty said. But you see, the issue here is that Ghana is a sovereign nation. Nigeria is a sovereign nation. Ghanaians are doing legitimate business in Nigeria. Nigerians are doing legitimate business in Ghana. There is bilateral relation through ECOWAS treaty that creates free flow of business between West African sub-region. And it says that you can move in and out of the West Africa doing legitimate business. Why would, if Ghana wants to withdraw from that treaty, they should go to ECOWAS and say that we are no longer part of this ECOWAS agreement. We want to protect Ghanaians, we want to protect Ghana. But if they are still part of that treaty, every nation in West Africa should have free flow and access to Ghana. You cannot say that Nigerians who are doing legitimate business carrying ECOWAS passport. Don't forget, the passport you use is an ECOWAS passport. That they can no longer do business in Ghana. And if Ghana does not want to accede to the request of Nigerians, Nigerian government should also show firm, committed leadership. We cannot, look, if Ghana gets away with this, don't be surprised that Cotonou will begin to slap us. Don't be surprised that Mali will begin to knock us on the head.
Okay, if I can, let's leave it here for now. Razak, elections are coming, presidential elections are coming in Ghana soon, and the body language of all the candidates towards this could also impact on how they vote for whoever. What do you see here?
Of course, maybe that's part of the reason why the president of Ghana quickly come around to seek for our support in Nigeria here, particularly presidential support from President Buhari. And so that's the case with major African countries. And that is why we must learn to turn those things into advantage. When we talk here, we say the international community. The international community also turned the reference, we refer to them, they turn into advantage to influence things in our country too. So Nigeria must learn how to use this respect we get from other African countries to turn it into respect, economic advantage, and other advantage that the rest of the nation are using over Nigeria. When goods from China were banned by American government, China also listed goods from America, and they had to sit down and sort it out. So it is not all the time that you send delegation to government when your citizens are disrespected. You first also roll out your own policy too. As a measure of the best way to do it is to also come up with some penalties. So then you don't sit down, because there are millions of Ghanaians, people of Ghana that are living in Nigeria to doing their business, and Nigeria is a country that's accommodating. We accommodate Africans, non-Africans. So
that's why we're the big brother.
It will be unfair if we continue to be treated in this manner. Okay. And the best way out of it is not only to be talking, not to be telling delegation, it's also to be taking measures. If we take a measure, the respect will be there. During COVID-19, some countries ban Nigerian airlines to their country. What did we do? So when we ban that, they quickly call us for discussion. So particularly a particular airline, they quickly call us for discussion because they know the numbers of Nigerians who use their own facility all over the world. So that is the most appropriate position that our government should apply in cases like this.
It's time now to take a look at stories making the headlines in Nigerian newspapers. With me in the studio is public affairs analyst Razak Olukoba. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us. And also joining us is media consultant and journalist Ifekayode Akimbode. He joins me via Skype from Abeokuta. Good morning, and thank you for joining us as well.
Good morning, Veronica. How are you?
Fine, thank you. All right, let's head straight to the papers now, and we begin with the business day. Financial Repression Series, how risk of Nigeria's artificially low interest rates exceed policy gains. And to the front page of the Daily Times, more hardships for Nigerian traders in Ghana despite truce. To the front page of the Leadership newspaper, Nigeria's metering initiative suffers major setback. Components held at ports. We are not running out of stock, meter assemblers. We are running out of stock, rather, meter assemblers are saying. Federal government begins decongestion of Lagos port, diverts cargoes to Onitsha. All right, let's move now to the front page of the News Direct. COVID-19, federal government disburses 32 billion naira to 32 states. Nigeria not testing adequately. That's the NCDC speaking there. 10% of patients fall below age 19, Health Minister. All right, let's move now to the front page of the Blueprint. Emir Zazau succession race begins as Kaduna declares 3-day mourning. On the front page of the National Economy, Nigerian Airlines reposition for market opportunities as federal government moves to halt 1 trillion naira annual capital flight in aviation sector. And finally, on the front page of the Daily Trust, as states reopen schools, federal government urges vigilance, says another lockdown possible. Hospitals put on red alert nationwide. Federal government, northwest, northeast states meet on template. COVID-19 protocol violated in Oyo, Lagos schools. Children, parents excited in Kano. And this is where this is the story we'll be looking at this morning. Gentlemen, schools reopened, a majority of schools reopened yesterday, the 21st, and we went monitoring schools in Abeokuta. We monitored in Ekiti. Across Nigeria, we monitored some of the schools. And it was concerning, the reports we're getting. I'll be starting with you, Ifekayode. Some of the schools in Abeokuta, in Ogun State, as our reporter went round, was the fact that most of the students did not come wearing masks. And so they were sent home. And those that even wore it, at some point, they took it off, saying that they cannot come and die, if I may use that word. What concerns do you have with schools reopening? Because the government is already placing hospitals on red alert.
I personally drove around as a journalist to monitor compliance to the guideline of the Ogun State Ministry of Health, led by Dr. Tomi Koka. The Ogun State government also, created a specific timetable. For example, primary 1 to 3 should resume school between the hours of 8 o'clock in the morning, and then they will close by 11 o'clock. While pupils from primary 3 to 6 will resume from 11 and close by 2 o'clock. But unfortunately, none of these guidelines were obeyed. Most children come to school and said that their parents have gone to work and there was nowhere they could go. None of them were wearing face masks, and the teachers were overwhelmed. I'm afraid and I pray that nothing bad happens. Government can only give directive. The responsibility is on parents to take adequate care of their children and, of course, guide them appropriately. Because as it stands today, I am afraid if you go around the streets of Abeokuta, you will find school children moving up and down. Those who are supposed to resume by 12 o'clock will say that their parents have gone to work and there's no place they can go. Those who were asked to go from 12 o'clock will not go home. So the danger here is that this thing might not work. I think what is important is that critical stakeholders and government should sit down and devise, method that can work. Otherwise, just like the Minister of Health suggests, we might be in for another imminent lockdown. And I pray that that also happens soon.
Razak, from what he's saying, he says we have to come up with ways things can work. What more can be done to ensure things work? Because parents have their responsibility. You see students, even some of the teachers who are supposedly parents, not using the face masks as well. And like he said, they are overwhelmed. What is the missing link? What is the government, is government not passing the right message across? Is it not doing enough in terms of awareness? What really is the missing link that people would see and begin to take responsibility?
There's nothing peculiar in our character in Nigeria. It's just a universal character of human being. The way we respond to it in Nigeria is the way we responded to it in the US. In New York, the government point that it almost led to a face-off between the government officials and the citizens. But continuous orientation and enforcement is what we should be doing. In Nigeria now, today, charity begins at home.
Absolutely.
We're responsible for what is happening with the character of the student. Just like what Ifeka has said. Parents live their life as if COVID-19 has become an history. So the children also translate that to the kind of life they must live in school too. Because if you are in a house where strict adherence to rules were obeyed, you translate that to what you are going to, the way you are going to live your life in school. So essentially what I'm saying is that society has made up their mind, particularly in Nigeria, that COVID-19, we have seen an end to it. We have made up our mind. And health officials kept sounding that note of warning that the way we are going, the way we are living our life in Nigeria, we may have to lock down again because the cases are increasing. It got to a point where it was declining. Then suddenly it is beginning to increase again now. And that's scary. And someone said from the report that I read that they were gross inadequate testing that is being done in Nigeria. And that's what gives the impression that maybe it's reducing, whereas it's not reducing. So
obviously, government has its role to play to ensure that there is
the government is doing its
adequate
best
testing.
because if you look at Lagos State government has, we work in conjunction with government at the airport.
But there are 36 states of the federation. We cannot just focus on Lagos.
What I'm saying is that Lagos is doing its best. Other states should understand the reason why Lagos has not become a bigger crisis because of the population. They should know that it's the way Lagos has handled its own case. So all other states must also make up their mind to follow what the health officials have said. And what I mean by that is that the way second wave works is this pattern. You have an impression that it's going. Go and read it. You think I have an impression that the thing is gradually going. Then it will spark off one day and start consuming people. I don't pray that happens. And the answer to that prayer is that we must continue consistent orientation, and government must also summon the courage to start enforcement now. There must be strict enforcement, and students are going back to school now. Yes,
enforcement. But you saw what happened when we had the lockdown,
Yeah.
the way enforcement went, where some persons, even the papers at the time, said some law enforcement agents were complicit. People were still moving around. Can we really achieve enforcement, strict enforcement,
you always see excesses in anything we do. In enforcement, in anything, you will see the excess. You see officers, then you also see officers that are patriotic enough to do their job diligently. So there must be, federal government must be ready for a strict enforcement. As students comes on board now, even adults, you see what happened in the last 3-4 months, the way adults undo the situation. Not to talk of children. Children don't grasp what you are saying about COVID already. They seem not to understand. And they travel, they are the one that spread it a lot. It doesn't really weigh them down as it weighs other people down. So they are the carrier. They are the one that spread it around. And the picture I see, I hope it doesn't happen, is the picture of the usual historical second wave that we have been warned about. So if you don't want to have a society to be recorded in history as the greatest record of this pandemic, we must wake up to it. We must be ready. We must understand that any careless attitude from us has a greater consequence.
Ifeka, as it stands, can we afford a second lockdown again? As it stands, looking at the state of the economy, a lot of Nigerians are, under the weight of the pandemic. They really want to live, if I may use that word. Can we afford it at this point?
Well, sad as that may sound, the reality is that it is better to be alive than to die. I know that the economy is in serious comatose, I know that a lot of Nigerians are under the weight and the burden of the previous lockdown. But if we want to avoid the lockdown, we as citizens must take responsibility. It's not about government all the time. No, like Razak said, Lagos is doing well. Ogun State is also doing well. I can tell you that if it's about providing leadership, that we have in Ogun State have done tremendously well in providing leadership during this lockdown.
So what is the missing link? If that leadership is being provided, is it the issue of trusting the government? What really is the issue?
I come to Lagos, I see Lagos citizens without mask. Just like it's a universal problem. An average person is in discipline. Look, as government has shouted, as we have done all the enforcement, some people will still beat. During the lockdown, people were beating interstate lockdown movement. Between Sokoto, Lagos, everywhere, they were bribing the security enforcement to pass. It is the problem of the Nigerian citizens to take responsibility. It is government to design policy. It is government to ensure compliance. It is the duty of citizens to also obey the laws as laid down by government. Government is not going to force us not to die. Government can only guide us. It is our responsibility. Just like I tell my children going to go to school, please wear your nose mask. When you want to do this, wash your hands. They are little kids. You cannot, put your hands to my son. He will not take it from you. And he's just a 6-year-old boy. It's because I've already programmed his mind that COVID-19 is real. And I made him see cartoons. So he's conscious of it. He will educate you as a 6-year-old boy. That is what we should do. Governments can only give regulations. It is our responsibility to obey the regulations of government.
All right.
That is the missing link. People are not obeying, and we must obey to be alive.
We must obey to be alive. Razak Olukoba, your final words on this.
Well, just like what you have said, all options has been applied by government. The ball is in our court now. We must realize the danger that is ahead of us. And sad enough is that you can't hold anybody responsible for what is happening. If you go back to second wave, it's not the government's fault. It's practically our fault because every law that guides against COVID-19 is in all the states. You hear announcement on radio. I move around the state and I hear announcement minute by minute basis, including your own station. Every time you see it, as I drive in now, I see signs that if you don't wear masks, you don't come in. Still yet, in spite of all this, people choose not to obey the law. And I just hope and pray that we have a change of mind and realize that the danger that is lurking in India, in Italy, is also present with us. So we must make up our mind that we want to stay alive by obeying the laws.
We must make up our minds to take responsibility. Razak Olukoba, Ifekayode Akimbode, thank you for your time on the newspaper review.